Gravity, Part 2. My theory of gravity. My theory of gravity serves to overthrow Einstein's theory of general relativity by forwarding my own theory of how gravity is created. My theory of gravity posits the following. 1. Gravity is produced by a gravitational producing body. 2. Gravity is a force and its mediating particle is photon. The following is the structure of my discussions. Gravity is created by a gravitational producing body. The Sun, planet, and Moon's magnetic field is actually their gravitational field. In the Standard Model, the mediating particle of gravity is photon. My arguments will show that my theory of gravity agrees with quantum mechanics and the Standard Model. So, what is my theory of gravity? How is gravity created? My theory of gravity is that gravity is created by a gravitational producing body such as a star, planet, and moon through their structure and mechanism or spin. That is, in contrast with Newton's theory of gravity and Einstein's theory of gravity in his general relativity, mass in by itself does not produce gravity. An example would be the difference between a 1-pound rock and a 1-pound magnet, where a magnet produces its own magnetic field, while a rock do not have a magnetic field. For most of the solid planets and moons, it is their structure of having a solid inner core and a hot liquid outer core where gravity is produced from the variation of the spin of the inner core and hot liquid outer core. For the star, it is the variations of the inner structures from the center and its spin that produces its gravitational field. That is, the Sun, Earth, and Moon's magnetic field is actually their gravitational field. It should be noted that currently the Sun, planet, and Moon's gravitational field is called their magnetic field. Why is this? One of the reason could be because we are too familiar with the magnetic compass reacting to what we called as the Earth's magnetic poles, that is, its North Pole and South Pole, like a magnet attracting and repelling another magnet with its poles. This seemed to have limited our understanding that the magnet of the magnetic compass only attracts or repels another magnet, or as in this case, what we called as the Earth's magnetic field. We seem to have ignored the fact that magnetism interacts with electromagnetism, which was a known fact with its discovery by Michael Faraday in the 19th century. That is, magnetism can interact with gravity. Also, as this relates to Einstein's theory of general relativity, Faraday had also discovered that magnetism can affect the rays of light, which means that gravity can also affect light, where in this case gravity is a force not as Einstein had described as the mass bending the fabric of space-time. Another reason why most scientists, physicists, and science writers refer to the Sun, planet, and Moon's gravitational field as magnetic field could be because, as already pointed out, this is in conflict with the idea of the theory of general relativity that gravity is created by the mass bending the fabric of space-time. That is, they were heavily invested career-wise in Einstein's general relativity that they were willing to forego their scientific reasoning. In Newton's theory of gravity, in his law of universal gravitation, gravity is a force. The problem is that Newton just described the bodies as mass and there was no explicit mention that the bodies are producing their own gravity or gravitational field, which is the reason why a body attracts another body. That is, a body that does not create a gravitational field does not attract another body. A body that does not create its own gravitational field cannot make another body that does not also create its own gravitational field orbit it. A rock and another rock does not attract each other because they don't have any gravitational field. The Earth with its gravitational field make the Moon with its gravitational field orbit the Earth. It can be argued that a satellite orbits the Earth, but we know that it will eventually fall to the Earth. With the idea that the Earth's magnetic field is actually its gravitational field, we know that gravity interacts with magnetism since Earth's gravitational field interacts with the magnetic compass. We already know that magnetism interacts with electromagnetism. Magnetism come from the strong nuclear force of the subatomic particles, and the strong nuclear force come from the strong interaction of the quarks. That is, since the mediating particle of magnetism is photon, then the mediating particle of strong interaction and strong nuclear force is also photon. Light is photon, and we know that light interacts with gravity from the experiment of Arthur Eddington on the solar eclipse in 1919. That is, the experiment of Eddington on the solar eclipse as a proof of general relativity was wrong. Gravity is a fundamental force in the Standard Model with photon as its mediating particle. Thus, in the idea of the unification of the fundamental forces, strong interaction, strong nuclear force, magnetism, electromagnetism, and gravity is mediated by photon. My undergoing developments in my understanding of weak interaction is that its mediating particle is also photon. As I had written in my books Theory of Everything and Theory of Gravity, General Theory of Gravity, Quantum Gravity Theory, and Hydrogen Origin Theory of the Universe, it is not about the unification of the fundamental forces but rather knowing what and where those forces are. It should be noted that except for my theory of gravity, no current theory of gravity, especially Einstein's theory of general relativity, is able to relate itself to quantum mechanics and the Standard Model. That is, physicists are still searching for the quantum gravity theory. Without my theories, they will surely never find it with their current understanding. What is the significance of my theory of gravity? The significance of my theory of gravity, as this should be proven as a fact soon, is that as it has always been observed and pointed out by Isaac Newton, the source of our gravity on Earth is the Earth itself. As I had discussed, it is the structure of the star, planet, and moon and the mechanism of spin that is the source of gravity. For those who do not know much about the business of gravity in physics or who do not know about Einstein's theory of general relativity, which is the current dominant theory on gravity, hold on to this knowledge as I will discuss in the later videos of how I had overthrown Einstein's theory of relativity, theory of special relativity, and theory of general relativity. If you were not yet indoctrinated in Einstein's theory of relativity, when you had reached this stage of understanding and you had accepted my explanation of gravity, then with this knowledge you are already better off than those brilliant people and physicists who think they know Einstein's relativity theories. I challenge all the brilliant people, science and physics teachers and professors, scientists, and physicists to look at my theory of gravity and compare it to Einstein's theory of gravity in his general relativity. This is the simplest explanation of gravity that is in accordance with gravity as a force and thus puts it in the Standard Model.
Please give proper credit to the author for discussion of his ideas and theories. Thank you.